This last while in church, we've spent a lot of time talking about social justice kinds of issues. And that's sort of feels like it's been necessitated by what's been happening in the world around us. I thought it was worthwhile this morning to at least acknowledge the fact that the church is about other things as well. And so, so the church, we gather together to talk about righteousness. Righteousness was mentioned both in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Readings, righteousness is how we act as a people on a regular day-to-day basis, about our honesty and our integrity, about the way we treat other people. But this is an important part also about what we do here as a church. We also do something called, that I think of as care of the soul, which is a bit of a tricky term, but it's about who we are deep down inside. The story is told of a young child who goes and talks to their grandmother and says, "Grandmother, it feels like there's these two wolves inside of me battling for control. And the one wolf just wants to be happy and enjoy the world and take care of other people, and it's just sort of this happy wolf that wants to go and help the world. And there's another wolf inside of me. And this wolf wants to tear and rip and destroy and just hates everything." And the grandmother looks at the child and goes, "Yeah, that sounds all right." And then the child goes, But grandmother, which of these wolves is going to win?" And the grandmother said, "Well, it's the one you feed." So what we try to do here in church is feed the part of us, feed the part of us that cares and feed the part of us that loves. And we do this by offering forgiveness. We do this by offering grace and mercy and reaching out in peace, and all of these are part of what we do here as a church. We come together also to worship. We come together to remember who is God. That the first rule is not us. And the second rule is that God is the one who is present. God is not the one up there who's looking down from heaven and checking up once in a while. That God is the one who is already present here among us and who is worthy of worship and praise for all of the things that God continues to do among us. And so we gather to worship. Another thing we do when we gather is we create an alternative community or an alternative family. Now, some of you have lots of family around here, and so your need for families may be lesser. You grew up around here, and so you've got lots of community around, and some of us don't. For some of us, family is a long way away, and we're just still trying to build community. And so we come together on a regular basis because this is part of our community. And we are, in some sense, family to each other. Which, of course, means we're going to argue and squabble and fight. But, when stuff happens, we are going to be there for each other. That at the very, very foundation, we are going to love one another. Sometimes because of, sometimes in spite of, but this is just who we are. So when stuff happens to you, we are going to be there for you. This is another thing we do that's very important in the church. Another thing we do in the church is care for the sick and the elderly. When I took this job, I was told there really weren't very many sick people in church. We were all pretty healthy, and then a whole bunch of people all went to the hospital at the same time. And I went, well, okay. But now we're sort of back to being, healthy-ish? So that's not, we don't do a lot of that, but healthy-ish turns to sick-ish pretty quickly. And we take care of one another in those times. And we care for the elderly. Now, when I visit Genevieve Bear, who's 90-something anyway, she talks about herself as getting old. And the rest of you are just a bunch of spring chickens, so I don't have to worry about caring for the elderly. On the other hand, probably if you ask Scott, Scott would tell you that you're all old already, and he's already worried about his aging parents. Right, so it's all a matter of perspective. Also keeping in mind that care of the sick and the elderly is not something that's my job and not your job. Right? Caring for the sick and the elderly is our job. And you help me out so that I've got more time to do that, but that doesn't relieve you of your responsibility to care for one another. So all of these and other things are part of what we do here in this community, here in this church. But the passages remind us that those are part of the larger vision for creating a society that is the way God intended for this world to be. So these things are all together. They're all part of the same thing. And this was so clear in the Isaiah passage that we read. Because it was really clear at the beginning, I don't know if you were paying attention or not, but it was clear at the beginning how very, very religious the people of Israel were being already. Right? So the passage talked about them fasting. How much time do you spend fasting? I struggle with fasting. And we got all this food around. It's not like, fasting shouldn't be that hard, except that there is all this food around, and it's just always there in our faces. And it's just constantly, right? We can't, when 2 or 3 are gathered, someone's got to bring some food. Right? And when we get by ourselves, then we start to eat. Right? And so fasting, so they were, way more religious than most of us can manage. And they were, right, the passage talks about them bowing down before God. When was the last time you bowed down before God? Right? Think about this. Once in a while, you might manage to get down on your knees before God. I don't know. Do you pray on your knees? This is already, quite a bit. But think about this. This is bowing down before God. Right? When was the last time you did that? Right? So these people are way more religious than we can usually manage to be. Right? And all of these little bits, they talk about mourning their sins. Again, how much time do you spend mourning your sins? And Isaiah says, not good enough. Not good enough. Not because all of those things are useless or you shouldn't do them, but because the whole point of this is creating a society that is really part of the way God wants it to be. And the easiest way to tell if you're doing this, always, 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 is to look at the people on the bottom. To look at the widows and the orphans and the refugees and the poor. And if they're doing fine, for the most part you're heading in the right direction at least. And when they're not doing fine, then something's broken. So this is all part of the package. Right? We don't neglect worship, we don't neglect righteousness, we don't neglect caring for one another, and we don't neglect the poor, we don't neglect the refugees, and we don't neglect the orphans. All of this is part of, right? It's all part of the faith commitment that you continue to make hopefully on a daily, on a weekly kind of basis. And we go into the world knowing we're not going to succeed. Next week, we're going to come back and we're going to have to do this again. Because we won't have succeeded in changing this entire nation to be the kind of place it's supposed to be. We won't have succeeded in changing the West Virginia legislature to finally get some of this stuff done. Okay? Steps, hopefully, maybe. Right? But a long way from success. We won't get Morgantown fixed in the next week. Or probably ever. And that's in some ways okay, weirdly enough. Because the history of the Christians taking over and ruling things is for the most part really horrible. When you read history, almost you want to think that the last thing you want is the Christians in charge. It's really embarrassing to read history as a Christian and go, yeah, this is what happens when we get all the religious people in charge. It's horrid, right? I mean, this is what Jesus spent most of his energy on, is getting mad at religious people who were in charge. Right? So it's not like we should even want that. But instead, Jesus sends us out as salt. Right? And salt is one of those metaphors you can do a lot of things with. Right? Salt is a preservative, so we can talk about that way of being salt. Right? Salt is an irritant, right? Which you can find out if you just swallow a tablespoon of salt sometime. You go, well, that's irritating, at the very least. Right? So that's another way of thinking about that. Right? Salt also heals at the same time that it's an irritant. Right? So when you go to the dentist, he says, rinse your mouth with salt water, because that's better than regular water. We missed our dentist this morning. Right? And so all of these are part of salt, but one of the clear things is that you don't need a lot of it. It's not like, if we all if we all brought salt to the potluck, just salt, you're sort of a weird kind of potluck. Right? You just need you can tell when there's too much salt in the food, and there's, doctors tell us there's too much salt in most of our foods. So you don't need all of that much. But Jesus says when you stop doing the salt thing, when you stop being that salt, suddenly you become useless to God. And you go, I won't worry about it this week. I just, I'm not going to take care of it, and the world can go on. And you become useless to God. You just need to be thrown out. But again, right, you start out like the mouse in Rachel's story, way down there. That's where that's sort of us. We got to reach out and up, but that's because the powers are really, really up there somewhere. We got to keep reaching, because we're small. Jesus also sends us out as light. And this one feels so good right now, because it's so often I want to, take the people who are in power and just shake them and go, don't you see? Don't you see what it is you're doing? And how can you not see? And I want to do this with like half the churches in town, or 3/4 of them. It's like, no! So we go as light. And we do this so that people can see our good works and give glory to God. So we don't, again, neglect personal righteousness. We be careful of how we are salt and how we are light, and shaking people and telling them, see, is not how we do this. It's how we feel, but it's not successful, it's not useful. It makes us feel good for a few seconds, and then we're embarrassed, and then, we know we just lost the battle. We just lost the argument. So how is important? But ultimately, all of these things we do out there. And so as I do every week, my task is to send you out. And to say, go out there and be salt and be light. We do this not so that we can see each other's good works and pat each other on the head, but so that others can see your righteousness and give glory to God. But if I'm going to send you out, I think the least that I can do is send you out fed. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to gather together, have some bread and some, grape juice, and give glory to God together, so that when we go out, we are fed and we are ready. For those of you who aren't sure how we do this, our rule is, if you aren't sure if you're welcome or not, Yes, you are. That's it. That's not very complicated. So I invite you all to come up here, join me in a circle, and take the Lord's Supper together.